Access Rally. I am Amy Hagstrom-Miller, founder and CEO of Whole Woman's Health, and a proud provider of safe, compassionate abortion care in Texas. I'm delighted to be here with you today, and you are looking simply fantastic. Your passion and commitment are palpable, and we are so glad we are all making our voices heard today. Thank you for coming and for joining in our proactive, affirmative platform, Trust, Respect, Access. The coalition partners leading this coordinated effort include the ACLU of Texas, NARAL Pro-Choice Texas, the National Latina Institute for Reproductive Health, Planned Parenthood Texas Votes, Texas Freedom Network, Texas Research Institute, and Whole Woman's Health. Give it up for these organizations. So it has been a challenging couple of years in Texas, has it not? Yes. With the terrible 2011 and 2013 leg sessions, the landscape of healthcare delivery and access in this state has crumbled. So many of our state's clinics have closed, so many people no longer have access to the care they need, and we've had to file lawsuit after lawsuit that consume our time and resources just to keep our doors open to serve the women who need us. Of course, this is what we do, and this is what it takes. We go to district court, we go to federal court, we go to the Fifth Circuit and to the Supreme Court and back around that circle again and again, because this is what it takes. We have endured, we have reopened, and we are fighting back. We are prepared to take our case against HB 2, Whole Woman's Health versus Lakey, all the way to the Supreme Court if we have to. And we are doing this in order to secure justice for the people of Texas. We are in it for the long haul. We Texans are committed. We speak up. We demand to be heard here at the Capitol and all across this state. From Beaumont to McAllen to Lubbock to Waco to Fort Worth, San Antonio, Houston, all over this great state, people are ignited. We demand trust, respect, and access. We know that safe abortion care is absolutely necessary for the health and well-being of the people in our state. We know that 1 in 3 women will need an abortion at some point in their lives. We know that most of the people receiving abortion care in Texas, over 60%, are mothers already and doing the best they can to make ends meet. We know that laws such as HB 2 disproportionately affect our rural folks, people of color, the uninsured, and young people. We know this, and we do not accept it as our new reality. We are leading a charge to do something about it. Today, we are proud to launch the first of a forward-thinking, long-term, proactive policy platform, and to see this work from our coalition coming to life. And you are here to make it happen. Today, along with our champions in the House and our champions in the Senate, our organizations put forward a legislative agenda to roll back some of the most restrictive policies affecting reproductive health care in Texas. You are the most important component of this work. Your voices matter. Speak up and out. Talk about abortion with openness and honesty. Take a risk, extend yourself toward others. Talk to your family and to your friends who might not have the right words to begin a complex conversation on an issue that is so charged in our culture. Take whatever opportunities come your way to shift the conversation about reproductive health care in Texas and to chip away at the stigma that surrounds these issues in our state. Your voices will make a difference. In response to the incessant attacks on reproductive health care in Texas, including abortion care and family planning, our coalition of Texas-based organizations has come together to launch this multi-year public policy campaign. All of us here today trust Texans to make their own reproductive health care decisions, including the timing and spacing of our children. We respect healthcare professionals' medical and ethical judgment about the care that each woman needs. We guarantee access to safe, timely abortion care for all Texan people. We know that an overwhelming majority of Texans agree that it is important for students to get comprehensive, age-appropriate, and medically accurate sex education. We know that family planning, including contraception, has well-documented health benefits for mothers of all ages and for their newborns, families, and communities. We know that the vast majority of Texans believe women should be able to make personal decisions about their health care without interference. We know that politicians should not substitute their judgment for that of healthcare professionals, nor politicians should not interfere with the doctor-patient relationship. Politicians should not force healthcare providers to choose between ignoring our medical training and ethical obligations or violating the law. We know that laws such as mandatory ultrasounds, biased counseling, mandatory delays, and medically unnecessary restrictions on medication abortion are political interference in medical decision-making. According to our medical experts, these laws do nothing to make women safer. We know that since Texas lawmakers, did you hear me say that? Lawmakers enacted HB 2 in 2013, more than half of the state's abortion clinics have been forced to close because they were unable to comply with these unnecessary restrictions. In fact, if the law is fully implemented, there will be only 8 abortion clinics left to serve this entire state. We know that these laws make it difficult to access care, disproportionately impacting low-income Texans, rural Texans, immigrant communities, and Texans of color. And we know that at the 2013 legislative session was a game changer for us here in Texas. People came out, we spoke up, and we didn't back down. And at the end of the legislative session in 2013, 3 values clearly emerged: trust, respect, and access. We are here to take those values forward and to shift the state of reproductive rights, access, and justice here in Texas. We are committed to changing the conversation around abortion, building a movement for reproductive freedom, and pushing for more proactive legislation that protects and preserves the reproductive rights of all Texans. We have endured tremendous political interference here in Texas. This interference has eroded the infrastructure of care delivery across our state that took decades to build. We cannot stand by and let them continue to launch these attacks, and we will not only be on the defensive. Today we unveil our proactive policy work and begin a strategic rollback of some of the most restrictive of those policies on reproductive health care that affect thousands of Texas families. We are very excited about the Trust, Respect, Access campaign and about our long-term commitment as a coalition to build a sustainable movement for reproductive freedom in Texas. Thank you for being here to make it all happen and for making your voices heard. We are in it for the long run.
Thank you, Amy. I'm Heather Busby with NARO Pro-Choice Texas, and I feel very fortunate to introduce our next speaker, a powerful young activist from El Paso, Texas, Adriano Perez.
Good afternoon. So I have a question for all of you behind me and for all of you that are here in front of me. Who here has felt personally victimized by the Texas legislature? And please raise your hand if you are able to. That's a lot of us, right? And that's a problem. So my name is Adriano Perez, and I'm here today as a student leader with the Texas Freedom Network to talk about the importance of access to reproductive health care for young people and the power of youth organizing, as you can see behind me. So I come here today from El Paso, and like so many people in my city, I am a Chicano first-generation immigrant from a family that moved to the United States seeking a better life. And being from El Paso has allowed me to experience and exist in a borderline community that is far detached from those who govern it. Specifically, this is a disconnect that seems to exist in the state for anybody who is young and has a uterus. And I say anyone because the conversation surrounding reproductive rights and access to abortion is often one that is seen as only affecting women. But transgender individuals, such as myself, and gender nonconforming people who are also affected by the restrictions being placed on reproductive rights and access in Texas. The importance of access to reproductive health care begins with access to proper sex education for people. For example, one that actually talks about sex in a way that young people can relate to. And we live in a state that has consistently held one of the highest teen birth rates in the country. Our health classes primarily covered the food triangle and the importance of jumping jacks, but never once did they mention the LGBTQIA community, or condoms, or birth control, or what healthy and loving relationships should look like. The sex education in Texas is equivalent to, do not have sex because you will get pregnant and die. And this is a funny quote from Mean Girls, right? But the reality in the state is that too many people do die when they cannot access a safe abortion. And the decision in this state isn't between having an abortion or not having an abortion. The difference in Texas is between having access to a safe abortion or having to resort to an unsafe abortion. It is essential to trust young people of all ages, including minors, to make the best decisions for themselves every step of the way. Because a 16-year-old woman in El Paso knows what is better for her than a white man in Austin does. And any person that has come to the decision to terminate a pregnancy and have an abortion has not done so casually as to have to wait another 24 hours. In a state that ranks 48th in civic engagement, we as Texas millennials encompass a fourth of eligible voters. And this is a number that will only continue to increase, and with it, our power. Many of us here are young leaders in our communities, whether that be with large organizations such as TFN, such as myself, or with smaller grassroots movements. We are powerful examples of what the young people in this state can accomplish. For instance, upon the initial passing of HB 2, a group of students in El Paso, including myself, joined together to form the West Fund to help provide gap funding for people's abortions. And even the seemingly small act of wearing a button that states 1 in 3 people able to have an abortion will have an abortion in their lifetime has helped people open up about their personal experiences with abortion. And this has helped spark conversations that otherwise would not have happened. And engaging in these conversations and continuing to do this work is something that is so important, and it is something that all of us can continue to do to destigmatize abortion and shift how this issue is viewed in our communities. And so I stand here today with all of the young people behind me and with a diverse group of Texans who have come together to demand that lawmakers take the first steps towards creating a better Texas. Thank you.
Next, I'd like to introduce Senator Jose Rodriguez.
How about that young man? He's just an example. And he's from, and you know what? He's from El Paso. All right. We've got our young folks. We've got our young folks in El Paso that are the leaders. I am Senator Jose Rodriguez. Thank you very much for inviting me to be here. I'm pleased to be here. I think that we all showed the rest of the country last summer during, you remember that third special session, we showed the rest of the country that it's Texans that value humans' health, and that we stood up and we fought HB 2, which eventually passed, but we fought it as vigorously as anyone can do under the rules. And it was you who made it possible. It was you who made it possible for Senator Wendy Davis to lead that charge. I am pleased to be here because I want to share with you that earlier this week I filed Senate Bill 730, which repeals the provisions, the harmful provisions of House Bill 2 that as you all know, continue to be challenged in the courts. And that is something that is costing the taxpayers, you think people would be concerned about this, needless attorney's fees and high court costs. The right to a safe and legal abortion has been constitutionally protected, as we know, for many, many years, and we cannot allow this legislature or any other legislature throughout the country to bar the right that people have and to put insurmountable barriers to their constitutional rights. Now, I'm sure it's already been said, but unfortunately, our colleagues here in this Capitol have waged a relentless war on women's health. They don't want to refer to it as a war, but that's exactly what it is. They've cut down on women's health funding for the women's health programs. They've tried to shut down the constitutional right to a legal and safe abortion. They are proposing additional measures in this session that are even more draconian. When does this stop? These are folks who proclaim that they follow the rule of law, that they respect the decisions of courts, so long, of course, as it's decisions that are favorable to the issues that they support. But this is an issue that has been clearly identified and stated by the U.S. Supreme Court as a right that women have, and that really and truly basically says that government has no business interfering with a woman's decision to make her choice. We know of the number of clinics that have closed down. We don't need to repeat that as a result of HB2, the doctors admitting privileges section, the ambulatory clinic, surgical centers provisions that impose onerous requirements on our clinics such that they have to close down. At some point, we need to send a clear message, and you are all here to do it today, that we are here and that we're going to continue fighting for women to make decisions regarding their body, and that the government has no business interfering. That's another reason why I filed another bill that would allow a teen mother who has given birth to have the right to make decisions about any additional medical services required in connection with her birth. And secondly, to allow her to also make the decision to obtain contraceptives without needing the consent of their parents. So, I guess what I'm trying to tell you is that we're going to continue this fight in the halls of the legislature, in the legislative process, through our bills, and hopefully we can one day get there soon, as I'm sure we will. I'm convinced that we will, when no longer will women have to face these barriers to making their choice about their lives and what they want to do with their bodies. So thank you all very much for having me here this morning. I appreciate it.
Next up, we have Senator Sylvia Garcia.
Thank you, and everybody feel nice and warm? Do a little shaking or something. First of all, thank you all for inviting me here today to be here to stand shoulder to shoulder to all these folks here today, particularly all of the millennials, which I'm not, welcome to your capital. And particularly to those that I met last night, because they happened to be staying where I was staying last night, and they had lots of pizza. They were willing to share, but I gracefully declined. But thank you all for being here, especially those from Houston. You know, when I was thinking about what to say today, my staff prepared, notes, and they prepared a briefing, and they prepared suggested talking points. But I reduced it all to a simple little card. And what does it say? Trust, respect, access. That's what it really boils down. Trust, respect, and access. That's what it boils down. Because if you can't trust Texas women, and if you can't respect Texas women, well then what the hell is going on in Texas? Because I can tell you, Texas women have always been strong. If you go back to the pioneer days, if you go back to the days of the Alamo, if you go back any time in history, we've always had good, strong women who know what to do, who know how to do it right, and they're respectful, and we deserve respect back. So I can tell you that for me it was simple. And I want to thank again Senator Rodriguez, who has joined me. Not only, I'm also a co-sponsor of the first bill that he talked about repealing some of the nonsense that we passed last time. But I also filed a bill, SB 707, that does what his bill does, but just a little bit more when it comes to trusting the Texas teens. Once a teen mother has given birth to a child, does it really make sense that she cannot make decisions for herself about some of the medical procedures, about whether or not to have access to birth control, whether or not to do anything? And so my bill builds on what he has filed, and actually also includes access to the women's health programs, which is critical. It makes no sense to me that once someone has already given birth to a child and is 60 or over, that she's got to ask parents' permission to do anything else related to that birth, that pregnancy, or that child. So that bill has been filed. We will be fighting on that bill, and we'll need your support, because quite frankly, I'm not sure that some people have agreed that the war is over. Some consider it perhaps a battle. So I'm asking you, are you ready to continue to the fight? Are you ready to make sure that Texas truly respects women, that Texas trusts women, and will not deny us access to making the decisions that we have to make for our own bodies, for our own families, and our own children? Because if you agree with me that we need a Texas that does all that, you will continue the fight, and you will come back to help us every step of the way. So thank you again for being here. The fight continues. Please, we need to stand shoulder to shoulder to do it together. Muchísimas gracias.
Our next speaker is Representative Chris Turner.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon. It's a privilege to be here with all of you and with Senators Rodriguez and Garcia, who are two great champions for us in the upper chamber in the Texas legislature. I want to thank all of you who are here today, all of you behind me, for taking time to be at your capital, and this is your capital, to fight to bring back trust, respect, and access to Texas. Now, I will never forget standing right here in this spot 2 years ago, looking out on a sea of thousands of women, men, and children from all over the state, all wearing orange shirts and fighting for just that, for trust, respect, and access to women's health care. And now a lot has happened since that day, and unfortunately, not all of it's for the better. As a result of that draconian law that was passed, HB 2, clinics around our state have shuttered their doors. Many women and men no longer have access to reproductive health care, nowhere to turn for contraception, for cancer screenings, for help with sexually transmitted diseases. As many of you know, the political climate hasn't gotten much better in the building behind us since we all stood here that warm summer day. In fact, it's gotten worse. But that shouldn't discourage us. Change will not happen overnight, but it will happen with your help and your voice. And because this is a long-term effort to restore trust, respect, and access. And what I want you to know today is that you are not alone, because I know you represent thousands, if not millions, of people across our state who believe in the same things we believe in. Now, as legislators, one way we fight is to file measures focused on the core principles that we're here to advocate for. And that's why this week I filed House Bill 1351, which would require that in addition to the abstinence education we have in Texas schools today, that we must teach age-appropriate, evidence-based, medically accurate sex education on pregnancy, to prevent pregnancy, unintended pregnancies and STDs and sexually transmitted infections. And it would also require strategies to promote effective communication, healthy relationships, and decision-making skills for young people. And ultimately, this will help enable young folks to protect themselves from negative sexual health outcomes, unintended pregnancies, by providing necessary education and tools that we know they need. Polling shows that an overwhelming majority of Texans agree that it's important for students to get comprehensive, age-appropriate, and medically accurate sex education that includes information on birth control as well as abstinence. And studies indicate that young people who receive comprehensive sex ed are 50% less likely to have an unintended pregnancy than those who receive abstinence-only education. And this is so important for us in Texas. Texas has the 4th highest teen pregnancy rate in the United States of America. Texas has, amazingly, the highest repeat teen pregnancy rate in the country. You know, 2 years ago, when we were dealing with House Bill 2, I stood on the floor of the House speaking against that bill, and I said, if members of this legislature were truly interested, truly wanting to reduce the number of abortions in this state, we would be not here talking about this bill, we'd be talking about how do we reduce unintended pregnancies. And the way we do that, one of the most effective ways to do that is to provide young people age-appropriate sex ed. And that's what our bill does, and I look forward to working with you on it. This is going to be a long road, and we're going to need your continued voices in this fight and the voices of many more. But together, we're going to continue to fight for access to reproductive health care, access to good information for all Texans, and together, we'll continue to stand and fight for trust, respect, and access. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Representative Donna Howard.
And I really appreciate y'all being out here today on this cold day, making sure that we are standing up for women's health care here in Texas. I'm going to talk about a bill that I have, which is HB 1210. Over the past few sessions, we have seen repeated instances of Texas lawmakers inserting themselves into the doctor-patient relationship. We've seen new mandates implemented despite strong opposition from health professionals and their organizations. On a women's health statewide listening tour that we did last summer, I spoke with numerous doctors who mentioned that they were having to choose between their best medical judgment and the directives that are being forced on them by legislators. Politics should never take precedence over medical judgment, and certainly not when the health and safety of a mother is at risk. Healthcare providers have a professional and an ethical obligation to administer care that is evidence-based, safe, individualized, and medically accurate and appropriate. HB 1210 would ensure that healthcare professionals cannot be penalized